Hello, I'm Roy Hadley, and welcome to another edition of Cyber Shorts. I am the chair of the Information Security Society for the Technology Association of Georgia. I'm also a lawyer in the privacy, cybersecurity, and data management areas at the law firm of Adams and Reese. Today, we have a very special guest, my friend, longtime friend, Tim Callahan, who is the uh, Global CISO, Chief Information Security Officer for Aflac here in Georgia. Tim is also the chair of the board of the NTSC. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but very, just high level background, high level work Tim is doing. So without further ado, Tim, welcome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, Roy.
Oh, pleasure's mine, pleasure's mine. So great introduction by me, pat myself on the back of you. Global CISO, Aflac. Tell the audience, what do you do every day? What does that mean? And a little bit about Aflac also.
So I'll try to talk pre-COVID as well as COVID, because as most people, my life has changed quite a bit since March on what I do every day. But essentially, my responsibility is the whole life cycle of, I would say, information protection. My group encompasses information governance, risk management, compliance, technology risk compliance. It's, the classic information security program, from threat intelligence, security operations, those kind of things, business continuity, disaster recovery, crisis management. And so I have responsibility to operationalize that into the whole company, but also to oversee that across the whole corporation. A lot of people are surprised to find that for Aflac, our largest, from an insurance standpoint, our largest revenue comes out of Japan, Aflac Japan. And so, certainly I have some responsibility for overseeing and working with, my buddies in Japan to make sure that we're properly protecting that part of the company. Aflac also has a global investments arm, an actual asset management company. And so, the program extends there. We've recently entered into Northern Ireland with a combination innovation center, technology innovation center, as well as a cyber center. We've got about 6 cybersecurity specialists there, and we're hoping to not only support the global operation of Aflac, but also become very innovative in some of the things that we're doing there.
So 2 great questions popped up as you were talking. The first is, kind of as you led in, you said, I'll talk pre-COVID and post-COVID, kind of what have been some of the challenges in our, kind of this new normal. And then the second part of that is, Aflac, I knew about Japan. I didn't realize about some of the other areas of the world. Kind of what are some of the challenges in running that kind of global operation that you normally wouldn't see in just a typical US based operation? So both of those questions, I think you generated them, and would love to kind of hear from you on those.
Yeah. So the challenges, the post-COVID challenge, obviously, like, many companies, in each of our operations, we have local regulatory bodies that kind of drive our response to some degree. And when I say that, Roy, you and I are both kind of in the Atlanta area. So, when Georgia went to shelter in place mode, certainly we had to get all of our employees out of the office and work at home. Well, we had different types of that thing going on all over the United States, and then as well as Northern Ireland and Japan. So, obviously, that presented some challenge. I will say that, back in 2017, we changed kind of our disaster recovery, our crisis management model from a facility-centric model, and you may recall some companies still do it, or they're able to still do it, into bringing in trailers and things like that to recovery, to a work from anywhere model. And we invested in the technology and the security to do that, and practice it quite extensively, so that it really mattered less where the person was than what access they had, the information they had, and the ability to facilitate that. So that helped. Obviously, it took some break-in. Many of our employees had never worked from home. The obvious challenge that you see in people, schools closing, daycares closing, and parents having to take care of their children at the same time trying to work. Those are the kinds of the break-ins that we saw. But I will tell you, Aflac is just a fantastic company. We have a people-first philosophy. Okay. And so we really, went to great measures throughout our footprint and making sure that we were taking care of the employees, assisting and providing those benefits. I think we've actually, and we've seen this in some of our production numbers, we're not seeing tremendous operational impact. We're again, employees first, clients first. We make sure we're processing claims, that we're taking care of our clients and our customers, and making sure that they get what they need. So, although it's challenging, we've overcome those challenges, I think.
Well, it sounds like you all, based upon your continuity plan and your incident response plan and planning, that, as best you can, nobody can predict, COVID and kind of this global pandemic, but it sounds like you all were well positioned, or at least as well positioned as you could be, to respond to the crisis and keep the business operating. One question for you. I'm gonna pivot here on you, because we've been talking shop, but now I want to talk about Tim a little bit. What do you do in your spare time? What's fun for Tim?
It may come to a surprise to some people, but I like to do yard work kind of things, right? Where we live now, some of my friends call it the compound, but I have 24 acres just outside of Atlanta. Okay. And my two daughters and their family, their husbands, their children, live on the 24 acres along with my wife and I.
So it is a compound.
Yeah, it is. And I'm working on the manifesto. We hadn't quite got there yet.
That's right.
But it's not fence or barbed wire. Right. But anyway, it's but I do, I enjoy working heavy equipment kinds of things. I have a couple of 3 tractors, and my sons-in-law and I get out there and work and just fellowship and enjoy and those kinds of things. So it's very, not to make when I was I had a career in the military. Many people know that know me. And in the career, I was bomb disposal. I disarmed bombs, blew up stuff, and did demolitions, that kind of stuff. And every project I ever had, results in nothing being left if I were successful, right?
Right.
So building things and actually seeing the results of my labor is very rewarding.
Right. Well, it's funny because I love outdoor stuff too, and I like to cut my own grass and be outside. It's therapeutic, but it pales in comparison, to what you're doing in the 24 acres. So I am jealous. I often tell my children that when I grow up, that's what I want to do. I want to have, some land somewhere, have them come live with us, and they look at me and just say, So I have to work on them. I have to get some more tips from you. In that respect. So question for you. Now I'm gonna pivot back to kind of talking shop. What keeps you up at night? What's, if you had to say there's one thing that you worry about more than others, what would it be in a cybersecurity, sense?
Yeah, and that changes, it morphs. But I think one of the largest threats that we have, from threat actors in general, and again, I could talk across the different spectrum of threat actors, but I think what has become the tool of threat actors in general is the email space. And you know, they've gotten so creative in the phishing attempts. And you know, phishing can take different types of forms. And then, you know, inviting people to visit websites that can certainly be used to you know, download malware. That does so really the best defense against that, in my opinion, is training employees and keeping employees focused. And we, you know, at Aflac, again, we've got just the best set of employees anywhere, just because of the great leadership that we have at Aflac. But you know, COVID has presented a distraction to that, right? And you know, every one of us, we depending on where we are in our lives and what, you know, what's biting on our butt at the time, you know, we're going to pay attention to it. And so we've really tried to emphasize during the COVID thing not to forget good cyber hygiene.
Right.
And so that's probably it.
Right. And you're right. Yeah, you know, for all the technology and for all of the tools that you can implement, people still, I think, remain, you know, the biggest threat vector, and also the biggest opportunity for, you know, to mount a defense. And as you said, that cyber hygiene. I know you're the chair of the NTSC, the chair of the board. We've talked to Patrick Gall, who's a mutual friend of ours. And, you know, what do you like most about the NTSC? What really got you involved in that? And what benefit do you see coming out of the NTSC?
Yeah, so the NTSC, I think, serves multiple interests for the good of the nation, right? And that's how we approach it. You know, one of the reasons we founded the NTSC is, you know, we saw a need on Capitol Hill and within the regulatory, the federal regulatory structure, we saw a need for education. We saw a need for a dialogue about what would make good national policy and national standards around the cyber. And through that, we feel like we're benefiting the nation collectively, the defense of the nation, as well as the citizens of the nation, by helping our policymakers understand the difference between creating a compliance-centric program and one that's really effective at protecting the people. Now, through that, our companies benefit from that, our citizens, our consumers, everyone benefits when we have a good cyber ecosystem. And so I think NTSC, I mean, that was our founding mission. We've been, I think, fairly effective at that. You know, when you have lawmakers calling on you and asking your opinion, which we see now quite a bit, at least we've gotten out there and made a name for ourselves. You know, recently, Senator Perdue from Georgia sponsored a bill that the NTSC actually helped craft. It's a companion bill that we, Representative Katko in the House of Representatives had introduced. NTSC through our executive director, Patrick, that you mentioned,
right,
and some of our partners in Washington helped gain co-sponsorship across the aisle. And again, NTSC is nonpartisan. We're not aligned. We don't have any political interest other than protecting our nation, our companies, and our citizens from cyber attack. So we were able to do that. And then Senator Perdue introduced the companion bill in the Senate recently in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And what that bill is really to create an advisory panel, industry advisory panel of CISOs from across, not just financial or manufacturing, but across the industry, to advise the Department of Homeland Security on, you know, what can be effective in a national cyber policy.
Right. So great work going on there. And, you know, I participate with the NTSC on the advisory board, and just the work and the lifting that's being done for the greater good of all is truly amazing. And just for those who don't know, the NTSC is comprised of CISOs from across the country, corporate CISOs whose goal is, as you said, just to make us as a whole more cyber secure. So we're winding up here. We're getting to the end. We keep them short, hence the name Cyber Shorts. But I do have one final question for you. And this is of importance, level of importance of everything we've talked about today, way up here. And the question is, favorite album of all time? What is it? Favorite group or favorite album of all time?
Oh my goodness, that's a hard. I have so many. Probably it's Jethro Tull, Aqualung.
Nice.
But I'm a Queen fan. I'm a fan of Christian music.
Right.
There's some really good some good groups out there. Skillet is a good Christian band too. So
Right.
Christian rock band. So, but probably Aqualung.
I know that feeling. Well, again, we're at the end here. I have really enjoyed catching up with you, learning more about what you do. I appreciate you taking the time out for us, and take care and be safe.
Thank you, Roy. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.